and grateful to be in recovery. I'm blessed and grateful that you guys are here at our Why Wait for Recovery Wacky Wednesday that never turns out to be wacky Wednesday recovery meeting.
Hi, my name's Haiti, and I'm an addict. I'm a compulsive overeater, an emotional eater. I'm a binger, a purger. I'm a food addict. I'm a drug addict. I'm an addict,
I'm an alcoholic, drug addict, anorexic,
and I'm in recovery.
and so am I.
And every week we get together to discuss the challenges we face, our hopes, our strengths, things that get us through the day, and we reconnect with our community so we know we're not alone. And we get to chat. So welcome to Wacky Wednesday and happy 2018, everyone.
Right, happy 2018, you guys. So this
know,
is our first
I just want to say
2018
something.
meeting.
I can't believe I made it to 2018. I got 4 extra years. I shouldn't have been here. I mean, this is like a gift. Yes, it is.
So you guys, tonight we're going to talk about forgiveness. So we talked about resentments the last time. Actually, the last 2 meetings we talked about resentments, and that was a really tough topic for everybody. Seems that we have a lot of shame and a lot of guilt around our resentments, and it's one thing to identify who we feel resentment toward, and that's usually towards others and especially toward ourselves. And more important, as importantly, after we realize or recognize our resentments, what comes after that, we do that so that we can forgive. And why do we forgive? Somebody want to tell me why we forgive?
For ourselves.
Yeah, for ourselves, why? What does forgiveness do for me?
It allows you to move forward and be happy, or not be held back by whatever you were resentful about. Because when we're resentful, we live in that moment and we don't see too far outside of that.
Right. So when we're resentful, we miss the movie, you guys. And so if I'm resentful and unforgiving, that means that I'm still living in the past. I'm angry about something that happened in the past, which means I certainly ain't living in the present. Shout out to Susan, I said ain't. We're certainly not living in the present because we're spending all of that time thinking about who we're mad at, why we're mad at them, what we did wrong, what they did wrong, if only, if I did this, if they did this, if that, and we're missing everything spectacular, every single little miracle that's going on right now.
And also, it affects the way that we deal with that person. So I know for myself, when I'm dealing with someone and I've got a resentment towards them, instead of just discussing it or having a conversation, my go-to way of dealing with them was I'd either get annoyed or I'd be short or I'd deflect or I'd find something to crap on them about. I mean, essentially became the form of communication rather than just saying, by the way, when you did this, it made me feel this way.
Yeah, and so that place that you're living a lot of times too, if you're not saying anything, is you're living in your own head, right?
Right, and then I'm not being what I want to be as kind, compassionate, loving, and just being serene and enjoying that moment where we are. Can I just say something as well?
She can say whatever she wants.
So we have people that join us in the rooms, and we have people that live stream us on different formats on Facebook and different places. And we also have people who join us on Zoom, and it's just so nice seeing familiar faces and our friends out there. So the difference between Facebook and Zoom is on Zoom, we can hear your voice, and you can join in the conversation. So if you want to be part of the conversation, hop onto Zoom, there's still time.
Yes, there is. And I also wanted to talk about, so you just spoke about if I'm having a resentment or if I'm upset with Sarah and I walk around and I'm in my head about it and I don't discuss it with Sarah, first of all, it keeps me in a bad mood, right? And it doesn't allow me to have a loving relationship with you, correct? Because if I'm angry, I'm not walking around with a whole bunch of love for you. And then there are the relationships with people that we don't even get that chance to see. Things that have happened in our past, people that we're not in contact with anymore, different things that have happened to us or around us or about us in our past. And when we hold on to those, we don't get a chance to speak to that person about it. And we need to forgive those people as well. And we need to forgive those people because it allows us to be free, right? And so our whole thing about living in recovery, you guys, is to be happy, joyous, and free. And if I'm angry with you or I'm resentful toward you, or I'm walking around incapable of forgiving myself, then I can't be happy, right? And so Sarah, I'm gonna ask you, are there people in your life, I'm gonna pick on you today, because I pick on Allison all the time, so I'm gonna pick on you today. Allison's so happy, yes, she's not picking on me. So you have people in your life right now that you feel some resentments for or difficulty accepting those people for the people that they are?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. And
Definitely.
so let's think of one person, and you could name that person Stevie, if you don't want to say who it is. But let's pick a person that you are angry with, and let's talk about what it looks like when you have some acceptance.
Um, uh, I'll give a different name.
Okay, perfect.
Let's say Rebecca.
Okay, you're upset with Rebecca because.
Um, because I feel that she did not protect me in the way that I needed, and give the right amount of love to me that I also needed, or guidance.
Okay, all right, so usually when we're talking about that, we're talking about an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent or a dad or a mom. Maybe you're talking about your dad, your, stepdad, whatever. It could be whatever. We're using the name Rebecca. And so right now, you're resentful with Rebecca because Rebecca didn't protect you when you were growing up, correct? Do you think there might be a reason why Rebecca didn't do that? Did you think Rebecca woke up in the morning and said, hey, today I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that Sarah feels unsafe? Do you think that was her intention?
No, I don't think at all that was her intention, but maybe that was the best that she knew, or maybe when she grew up, just things that we were taught.
Right. So you just said maybe that's the best that she could do. I'm going to ask you a question. Right now, you love me, right? If I'm doing the best that I could do and I screw up, you might get angry for a little bit, right? You're going to stay mad at me?
No.
No. Will you forgive me?
I feel like it depends what it is, because
No, fair enough. That was awesome that you said that. That was great that you said that. So you can forgive some things that work in your world, and then you can't forgive other things. It's super important that you said that, by the way.
I continue to be kind and compassionate and respect those people, but just depending on what it is that really hurt me, I don't know deep. I can't deep inside say, you know what, I completely forgive, and I don't want to say that because.
Let me ask you a question. What is holding on to that anger due to the other person?
Well, it makes that person feel like I don't love them.
Well, and let's say that person is in Africa, and you haven't spoken to that person in a year, and you're holding on to the resentment. What is it doing to the other person?
Hurting them too.
Is it?
No.
No, they don't even know.
Well, this person knows.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
A close person to me.
Is that person? So you're walking around with that resentment, which makes it that. Remember, resentment and that fear or whatever doesn't allow us to sit in a place of happiness and peace, right? Right. And so if you decided to forgive that person, if you could look at that person and say, you know what, that person did their best, whatever that looked like. And the way that I was treated really didn't have to do with me. It had to do with Rebecca, right? Rebecca treated me the way that Rebecca knew how to, right, wrong, or indifferent, right? And so I'm going to accept the fact that maybe Rebecca was brought up the way that she was, and she treated me the only way that she knew how. And as a child, it made me feel scared and lonely and sad, but I'm not that child anymore. Right? So to be disappointed, upset, and angry as a child, you need that person. You don't need that person right now to protect you, correct?
No, but I mean, there are some instances that even from a child that still occur, but it's just how that person is. That's just how they react to situations. They're very in denial kind of person. It's like,
Okay.
And
Do you think that that person's happy when that person's acting like that?
No, I think they're also scared and they deal with it and their way of dealing with it, and that's how they know it. If they shut, the door on, they don't want to deal with situations.
Okay, so we have somebody that doesn't want to deal with a situation, that acts the way that they act. Can you change that person?
No.
If you're angry or happy, does it change that person?
No.
Does it allow that person to go back to their childhood and figure out what happened and go through all those steps? No, right? So who's it hurting?
It hurts me.
Yeah, it hurts you all the time, doesn't it? Yeah. And so you know that if you can look at that person and forgive that person, you don't have to walk around with all that anger. And you don't have, because right now you're hurting yourself. You understand that?
Yeah.
So when I hold on to anger or resentment, I'm hurting myself. When I forgive, when I get to look at that person and say, you know what, I'm not going to forget what happened, right? Because we learned from the past, we hope. But if I forgive her, it's going to set me free. It's going to allow me to let go of that bondage, right? That prison that I'm in. And so, you guys, that's why we forgive. That's why we learn to have acceptance and then forgiveness, because it allows us to be happy as opposed to being scared and unhappy and angry. Yes.
So to put it in terms that I understand. So no matter what has happened, my day can play out in certain ways. So I can either start off my day feeling resentful and carry whatever that feeling was from last night, or that telephone conversation, or the guy who cut me off in traffic, or whatever that is. I can carry that with me for the rest of the day. That other person may or might not know what I'm feeling. But my day depends on how I play it out. So I can either be resentful, or
Correct.
I can make a decision of having a conversation with them later. And if that conversation isn't going to change things, I can still have an attitude of, this is what my day looks like, and I can control it, because I'm trying to make this, how does this apply to me on a practical level, on a day-to-day basis, is really the question.
Okay, and so I'm going to tell you, so when we're talking about somebody who's cut us off in traffic, that's pretty simple.
Right.
That's a real simple choice. Person cut me off in traffic. I don't know the person doesn't know me. Allison called me this morning, so Allison and I are friends, right? And Allison called me this morning, and she told me that she didn't like the way that my hair was cut, and that got me all upset, and it made me feel disappointed or whatever. And I could say to Allison, hey, Allison, you know what? It's cool you don't like my hair, but keep it to yourself, right? Those are things that I could work out real easily. When we're talking about abuse from when we were younger, when we're talking about sexual abuse or verbal abuse, emotional abuse, that goes real deep. And so as addicts, a lot of the stuff that we carry around is stuff that happened when we were younger. Things that happened to us, and things that put us in a place where we kind of felt more the victim, because at that time we were the victim. So what you're saying is absolutely true. Can I make that choice? Yes, I can. When it goes down to the stuff that made us what we are when we were little, that's stuff that we need to work through with somebody, so that we could learn how to forgive them, so that we can be happy. So yes, on your day-to-day, you're absolutely so correct. So-and-so pissed you off, you had your blinker on and they parked in your parking space. Okay, you could let that go. This doesn't really mean nothing. The kids are obnoxious, and you can take a look at it and say, well, I love my kids, right? And yes, they were obnoxious, and I'm gonna let it go because it's gonna screw up my day.
Or you can go, do you know what? My kids are obnoxious, and I can't wait till they go to college because they're driving me fucking insane, and I need to look after them. I mean, that is some of the stuff. And we can either walk around, you know, some of us are fabulous parents and love parenting, and some of us at the stage where we're living with teenagers and we have certain challenges. So I get that, and I understand that we face challenges, and it's easy to know when is it leading towards a resentment. What is that resentment, and how do I play it out in the day without actually picking up? Because there's a very fine line between forgiveness and going, do you know what, I'm just going to let this go. There are things that happened when I was younger, but there's stuff that happened this weekend that's a little fresher.
Right. So the stuff that happened this weekend, like I said, is the stuff that's pretty easy to get over. And then when we're talking about deep-rooted, deep-seated stuff, because that's the first person that you spoke about. So that must be a person that's really hurting, you know, that's something that's really hurting you. And so in that case, it's something that you learn to work through. It's something that you work on. It's something that you learn different ways or different tools to have acceptance for, because as long as you don't accept that person for what they are, you're never going to be able to be completely happy. So that was a great example. And thank you for saying it depends on what you do, because that was like so friggin' honest. And that has to do with you, of course, not with me. And that has to do with you at least understanding, which is pretty cool that you do understand the way that you feel. And you know, if I'm a good and caring and kind person, I'm allowed to screw up if we love each other.
Of course.
I'm allowed to screw up, and I deserve forgiveness because I'm worth it.
Oh yeah,
Right, and so part of us learning forgiveness too is us being able to say, and when I'm acting a certain way or whatever, I could be in a loving relationship, and that person is worth forgiving, and I'm worth forgiving as well. Yes.
You know what this also reminds me of? There's something that you always said, that we have a relationship with a person and they are a certain way and they're not going to change. So what we end up doing is a similar dance with them. So we keep doing the same dance steps and it keeps landing up in the same place and the same reactions and the same feelings. And what do you always say about changing the dance or changing?
Yeah, it's just that when somebody reaches their hand out to you, you don't need to take their hand in that dance. And then we're talking about when you call, let's make something up. You call your Aunt Susie to tell her about your day. And she's like, well, you know, if you would have done this and you would have done this. And for you to say, thank you for your input. Talk with you later. As opposed to saying, well, you know, I do this and I do this because da-da-da. That's reaching your hand out to dance, right? That's putting you into that position where somebody's baited you. You've taken the bait. And now you're off to the races with that person. And so that's being able to look at somebody else and say, thanks for sharing. Talk with you later. And not letting it get to you.
Right. And what I also get from this is that sometimes being able to, if you know this is how it plays out, you know how it's going to end. You know how things look because you've been down this road before. Is how you react to it is something that I'm learning to take control over. Mm-hmm. And I'm learning how to change my reaction. It's the only thing I've really got control over. So I can either get resentful or take a learning out of it or not feed into it or however that plays, because one of the things I really am learning is I'm an addict that will pick up if my recovery and my program is not strong, I'll find any reason or any excuse to become uncomfortable or to feed into chaos or to go down that road that gives me the excuse to justify me picking up if that is where I'm sitting and I'm that uncomfortable.
Yeah. And so that was always our go-to, the picking up part. And then as we're actually getting clean and working on our recovery, what the resentments do, even when we're not going to pick up, what the resentments do is it doesn't allow us to move forward spiritually in our recovery. It doesn't allow us to wake up happy. It doesn't allow us to look forward to the day, right? Because we wake up discontent, angry and discontent.
Can I just ask though, not to waste time?
Go ahead. It's not. By the way, look at me. What you have to say is important, and it's never a waste of time. Okay?
Because can I just share something with you? What we discuss here, people learn from, people we relate to each other, we identify with each other with, and it helps us all talk more and learn from each other. That's what
and you have important. Thank you. You have important things to say, and we want to hear what you have to say. So please go ahead and share with us.
I was gonna say that on a more like intense level, like if it comes to abuse, like physical abuse and things like that, are there ways that you can forgive someone without making excuses?
Yeah. Yeah. So my stepfather sexually abused me. He sexually abused me. That's a fact. I was a kid and my stepfather sexually abused me. Am I going to forget that it happened? No. Am I, Angela, am I angry about it? No. Do I have resentments about it? No. Do I really hope that he gets well or that he's already gotten well? Do I wish him the best? Yeah, I need to for a whole bunch of reasons. I wish him the best because that's best for the people that are in his life right now. And I don't want somebody else to get hurt. And I wish him the best because for me, that's the easiest thing to do. Otherwise, I need to walk around pissed off and resentful and the victim. And this happened to me. And I can't believe this happened to me. And I get to be fearful of relationships. And I don't want to live there. So if I could say, wow, how could somebody grow up like that? How did somebody turn into that? There was something that happened, I'm sure, that had him turn into that. And really, it must have been friggin' horrible for him. I know that it was horrible for me, right? Being on the other end of that. But for me, as far as the forgiveness things goes, I don't need to carry, I have acceptance because it happened. There's nothing I could do to go back and change it. And I'm certainly not going to stay angry about it because the dude don't even know who I am anymore. So why would I stay angry? How does that serve me? It doesn't serve me. To stay mad keeps me in prison. To let go and accept the fact that it happened and it's not part of my life anymore. And I'm not that little kid anymore. I'm a grown-up and I get to choose not to be angry now. And that's a gift that I give myself. Yes, Ange.
and I know I've said this before, but I feel it again and I want to say it.
Please.
You know, you explain it by saying you let it go, but I think it's important, and I know you said this today already, but I think it's important to repeat again, it's not just as easy as letting it go. When you say that, you mean working through what you need to work
Yeah,
through
of course.
to get over it.
Look, I've had about $8 billion worth of therapy, and
Right.
I've worked on my recovery. So, of course, it doesn't
Right.
just happen where you wake up one day. That's why we're talking about it, because this part is the beginning. Saying that you have the resentment or that you're angry or that you're scared, that's the beginning. Once I say it out loud, it gives me opportunity to work through it. Thanks, Ange, for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
Allie, anything you want to talk about right now?
I had a good day, but I had a situation in which it's basically about putting myself first in recovery and not allowing me wanting to be in a relationship with a particular person, transfer addiction, allow him to be like my mood altering thing.
Fair enough. And so just real quick. So there's a reason why they advise our first year of recovery that we don't change any really big things, right? And one of them is getting into a new relationship. Because you guys, we're usually crazy enough all on our lonesome to get into another relationship and have to understand or take a look at somebody else's crazies, because we all got them, and our own crazies around that other person. And so that's the reason for that. So they say in the first year, work on you. There's still going to be people out there after your first year that you're going to meet, and your head's going to be in a better place with a year of recovery behind you. Your head's going to be in a better place to make better decisions and not just to look for somebody else if you're sad or angry or right, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. If you're any of those things, to look for somebody else to change your mood as opposed to you learning how to be you.
Yeah.
How Allison learns how to be Allison.
Yeah, and I'm trying to work through it because I don't want to. I mean, I know I should, but I don't want to, and that's the struggle that I'm fighting.
Are you in a relationship with somebody?
Well, it's like it's
So you're going toward a relationship with somebody.
right.
Okay, and so yeah, so the thing is that until we're kind of healthy, it's difficult. Imagine if we go, it's kind of like when you have a relationship with when you're 11 years old, that's a certain relationship. Probably isn't going to be the relationship that you're going to have with someone when you're 17, and probably isn't going to be the relationship that you're going to have with somebody when you're 35, because you're learning and growing and learning and growing and learning and growing. So right now you're 11. So what we're saying is maybe you should go to school and do your homework and play with your friends and, go to the library and do stuff like that and learn how to be Allison. So that you can learn what it is that you want for yourself, how it is that you feel about yourself, and eventually what it is that you want from a relationship, of a shared partnership, as opposed to what is it that you can do for me today. Because if I'm hooking up with you because you get to change I allow you to change my mood, what happens if you decide to leave? Then I got to look for something else to be addicted to, correct?
Correct.
If it's addictive kind of relationship, and I don't know because we haven't gotten into it, but if it's that kind of addictive kind of relationship as opposed to a friendship with somebody, it's hard enough to be in relationships when we've been clean. It's hard enough for anybody to be in relationships. I mean, relationships are work. But the thing is, it depends on, so it's always check your motives, right? Whatever we do, check your motives. So, what's the motivation behind it?
Behind wanting to get in a relationship with somebody?
Or this particular person?
I like him a lot. And
Oh.
but I also, if he doesn't do something that I want, then I have picked up based on the fact that he didn't do what I wanted him to do.
Okay, so thank you for saying that. Thanks for saying that. So in the past, if this person hasn't pleased you in some way or gotten you that buzz, then you'll go ahead and pick up.
Right.
Because you want that buzz from something. Friggin', you get an A+++ for that honesty. That was super important. Not only that you were honest, but even before that, that you recognized it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so if you know that that's it, then you are switching one addiction for another addiction, right? So you're looking to get your buzz from him. And that means if he goes away that you're going to use. Right? Yeah. And it sucks because you want it and it's a relationship and it's not food, right? And so it seems like it should be a lot healthier, right? But not when that's your motivation. Not when the motivation behind it is that it's something else to pick up. Yeah, and so that's a tough one. So that's something that I hope that you work through with your sponsor, with your therapist, with your support group. And remember, life is life. It's happening out there, right? And we are addicts, so we want absolutely everything that we want the second that we want it. Am I different? No, I'm not. When I want something, do I want it right this second? Yeah, I really do want it right this second. You know, do I have to think that through? Yeah, I do. Do I have to take a breath sometimes? Yeah, I do. And do I need to check my motives? Yes, I do. Because that keeps me healthy. Thanks for being so honest, man. That was awesome. And I didn't even yell at you or anything.
I know.
That was so great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mama.
Thank you.
Ange,
Hi.
anything that you want to talk about forgiveness? Or acceptance or resentment?
Well, I was just gonna say, I thought you were gonna ask how my week was.
How was your week, Mama? How was your
that's
week?
usually the question.
Okay, how was your week? I changed the rules.
Yes.
How was your week?
It was okay. Well, no, it wasn't, but I want to say it was.
Okay.
I think that
So you want to lie?
No.
Make it all look pretty?
Okay. Bye.
Go ahead, baby.
I think it's important for me to share that this week was probably one of my harder weeks in recovery since I've been doing this for 9 months.
Right, and so that's the important part. So you're 9 months clean.
Yeah.
And this has been one of the hardest weeks in recovery.
If not the hardest.
So thank you for sharing that. And what made it so hard?
So I talked to you and I talked to Haiti, I think, and somebody else. I talked to a couple people about this, and I think it's a thing where when we start out in recovery, for me, I'm so concerned with doing everything correctly and doing everything I'm told and doing what I need to do because I'm so desperate to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did. So we do things without thinking. And then I think we get to a point where we become comfortable, not complacent, but comfortable. And sorry, I forgot. I think after that, you know, there's a thing where it's not so much an ego thing, but you kind of you're like, I got this. I'm doing what I'm doing, and it's going well. And then I think after that, you get to a point where you're like, oh, now I see these issues coming up and I feel them and I have perspective on them. I see them from all sides, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. And it's like, now you make a decision. What do I do with this? Am I scared and do I stay stuck in this, or do I move forward and do what I know I need to do?
And how difficult is it at times, because we talk about this, how much easier is it sometimes to stay stuck in that fear than it is to move forward?
Yeah, it's really easy to stay stuck. It's because staying stuck, it's doing nothing. You're just there,
Right.
and you worry about it.
Yeah, and you guys, they say if you're not working toward your recovery, you're walking
towards relapse.
walking toward your relapse. And so that's real important. And so we realize that, you know, change is always scary, right? There's that fear factor, and we're so used to sitting in our caca that no matter how smelly and everything it is, it's still what we're used to. It's the behavior that we're used to, and it's also sometimes keeps us that victim. Right? Oh, poor me, look at where I am, and look at where I wound up, and now I have to do this, and that, instead of saying, this is where I am, and I want to get better. So I'm going to continue to work on it no matter what that looks like.
Right.
Even though I know, because when I stay stuck in my fear, I know what that looks like. When I move toward my recovery, it's change. I have no idea what that's going to look like. Right? And so it's scary. Remember, when we're active addiction is all about this insane sense of control that we think we have. which we absolutely don't, right? We're completely out of control when we're in active addiction,
Right.
completely out of control. But for some reason, we think that we're doing the things when we're starving ourselves, when we're purging, when we're binging, when we're using. We think that we're doing something that we have control over, which we don't. And so it makes us insane, right? Okay, so we're insane, and now we're getting a little bit better, and we're looking at getting better, and now we're at this place where if I really get better, what does that look like? What's going to happen? Do I have to make the choice to go to school or not? Do I have to make the choice to have a job or not? Do I have to, and they seem all like have to's, instead of, wow, when I go forward, I'm going to have all of these choices, and I get to choose. And when I get to choose, it's going to be scary because I don't know, but it's going to afford me a wonderful life, because I can choose, I can make a mistake, I could choose something and it could be wrong, and then I get to choose something else, right? And every time I go to that choose something else, it's something that's more scary, and that's okay, because that's how we grow, and it's how we learn, right? It's how we discover what it is that we really do want in our lives, and how we become happy.
Yeah. And I think like what you said is everything I'm going through, and also because of the fact, you know, from the moment you've met me, I've always been very careful as to what comes out of my mouth.
Correct. And what's your motive for that?
Not make you mad, and make sure you like me, and make sure you're not going to leave and go away.
And do you have control over any of those things?
No.
No, you do not.
But what I was going to say is that so everything I just said is amplified. The more we go through the steps, the more clarity I get, and the more I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it makes, if you want to get better, it makes you delve deeper into that, and that's hard because you scratch the surface in the beginning and you see what you're going to get, and now I know what the issues are, and it's like to really work through them. It's scary because those feelings you have are amplified even more. It doesn't matter if you're in recovery or not, it's just the truth of it. So I think that, oh, I thought you were going to say something.
No.
That specifically has been really difficult for me.
And remember, in the beginning, we have absolutely no clarity.
Right.
So we don't know what the frig is going on. Once we get a little bit of clarity and we realize that we have choices, we realize that we're responsible for
Right.
those choices. So along with choosing comes responsibility, right? And makes us responsibility for our own life. And so what you're going through right now is you have a choice to make, right? You can choose the easy, quick thing, catch that buzz, and if something happens, and if that's what you're looking for in a relationship, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen, because it's not a healthy relationship. So something will happen, and if and when that relationship goes away, then you're going to be looking for something else to pick up. And now that you're talking about recovery and people are sharing that with you, it's kind of hard, right? Because before you talk about it, you could just stay in your own sick kind of place. And then once you put it out there, then it's like, okay, now I know how to get better. Do I want to make the decision to get well? Do I want to make a decision to not stay the person that kept me sick and using? Right? Do I want to change those behaviors? And that's really scary.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So you're talking to Allison about relationships, and we all in the room have different addictions, food, whatever, drugs.
Right.
So if somebody's working on their recovery and they decide, forget somebody, me and Allison are sponsee. She's working on her recovery from food, right? If she decides to switch to relationships as her thing, right? And she follows through with that, and the food stays clean and all of that. I already know the answer to this. Addiction is addiction is addiction, right? So if you're working towards your recovery and you're doing your step work, but you're still in the background doing this thing where you can't let go of the relationship, do you get the benefits of working on recovery, or are you lying to yourself?
So half and half. A little bit. So remember, first we clean out the dopamine receptor, right? So that we can have that little bit, at least of physiologically, we have more clarity. And so that part you're doing, right? Then all of that other stuff is going to come up. So I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic. It's funny because we just talked about this. I haven't had a drink for 10 years. When I was doing Percocet, do I get to keep my 10-year clean date from alcohol? Because I'd really like to.
No.
But no, because I was in active addiction.
I was about to
When
say
I'm
this.
in active addiction, does that take away my clarity? Of course it does. That's why they make it that we pick up another white chip. It's to remind us of where we're starting from. It's also to teach us humility, you guys. Listen, we make mistakes. We screw up, right? We do stuff that, okay, maybe we wish we hadn't done. Maybe hopefully we're gonna learn something from it. There's nothing wrong with starting over. Every day, by the grace of the universe, we get a chance to start over, right? The more that we can admit about our behavior. So right now, I have, again, 1 year and 9 months clean now, let's say. If you found out that I'd been gambling and I don't have any money in the bank and I've maxed out my credit cards because I go home at night and I spend $4,000 every night losing or gaining gambling, am I clean?
No.
No, I'm in active addiction. And that's okay. That's okay. It's okay for me to realize, for you to tell me, you know what, you're in active addiction, and for me to start over again. That's okay. But I need to do that start over again.
You need to accept it and
Yeah,
acknowledge it.
yeah. I need to have that humility to say, okay, I did this happened. I did this, now I get to start over again. Right? Clean is clean is clean. Working on our recovery. Sometimes, do we still work on our recovery? Yeah, we do. But if we're using, we're using. And so, they talk about being in the sunlight of the spirit. When we're using, we ain't in the sunlight of the spirit, right? Right. Are we waking up in the morning and doing our best to do our best? No. Are we waking up in the morning and understanding that we're responsible for our own actions and taking that responsibility? No. Are we lying to ourselves? Yeah. Is that recovery?
No.
No, it's not.
This is such a great topic, by the way. So going through the steps again, it's interesting how it starts bringing up all old feelings again. And from myself, because this is my story and the only way I can really tell it is, I'm very self-obsessed as an addict. It's all about self-obsession. And those first 90 days really are so emotional because it's all about the emotions and everything starts coming up. And I started getting those same feelings going through it again, tapping into the same place, which kind of put me in as inactive. I just got so stuck in feelings and getting out of action that I thought I was incapable of actually doing many, many things. So I think also learning to find out what different emotions are, so learning depending on when we came into recovery and what our experiences are. Took me 42 years to get into the room. So I really only had two emotions, happy and sad. So for me to start understanding what anxiety looks like and other things and identifying it and knowing what it feels like and to still be in action because my thinking isn't the healthiest thinking. And very often the things I tell myself are really not true. I mean, they're just things that those were the ways that I always thought. So really still maintaining a level of action, which is what we do here. We come to meetings, we start speaking about stuff when it starts bothering us, because it came up as a question is how do we start identifying things, knowing when we're starting to head towards a relapse, or how do we know what is happening before we head to that point of picking up? What are things that we basically can start doing? So we can tap into those emotions and we can also be able to identify things and learn from them as well as we're going through it.
Yeah, and so our clean time is our clean time.
So you can
And
still
what
be
does it
a
say?
dry
Processing
drunk. I
yourself.
mean,
So here's the thing, you guys. We relapse before we pick up. And for me, picking up as opportunity means relapse waiting to happen, And so we're either walking around with fear or we're lying, right? We're not telling the truth, or we're angry with ourselves, or we're angry with everybody else. We wake up upset and discontent. We start to get unhappy. Our friends start telling us, hey, like, what's the matter with you? We start to move away from support groups. We start to, for me, I stopped going to meetings. I stopped going to meetings. I didn't have a sponsor. I did all that stuff, which showed that I was going to relapse. There was a reason why I did that stuff. So the relapse happens before you pick up. And so hopefully what happens when we are relapsing spiritually, we reach out before we pick up. And so you just check yourself. How are you in the morning? Are you happy? Are you waking up in the morning pretty happy? When you go to bed at night, do you look back at your day? See what was awesome? See what maybe wasn't so awesome and what you'd like to change for tomorrow, right? They talk about that in the big book, doing an inventory at night before we go to sleep. Are we grateful? Are we happy? Are we content? Are we calm? Are we scared? You know, for me, they talk about resentments. For me, my thing is fear. Fear is what took me out. For me, will be what always takes me out, because when I'm scared, I don't want to feel anything, right? I just want to make that scared go away. And so the easiest thing for me to fall back on is to make the scared go away, no matter what that looks like. You want to make the lonely go away. That's fear, right? I'm afraid of being alone. I'm afraid of not getting what I want. I'm afraid if I don't have a relationship right now, I might not have one tomorrow, right? That's all fear. And so what am I going to do? I'll pick up whatever it is that I can pick up so I don't have to be scared. I'm going to use whatever it is that I use so that I don't have to be scared. And that's what you're doing. It sucks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you're going through that, because it's a sucky place to be. And I know that it will get better because you put it out there. So good for you. It's just going to be hard.
So can we check in with everyone on
Yeah,
Zoom? Because
of course.
we're running out of time.
Oh, yeah, of course. So we're gabbing over here. Jess, how you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you.
How was your week?
My week has been good as well. On this topic, I will say that there's one friend that I have that we've kind of drifted apart pretty much since me being in recovery. But I think it's a healthy thing. I'm not like holding on to any resentment. I just noticed that there's behaviors that I don't want to tolerate anymore. And I'm just I'm okay with it, but it's just this is a good topic.
So you're talking more about boundaries, right? And so
Yeah.
the people that were with that before, it might have been okay for them to act the way that they acted because maybe you didn't pay attention, or maybe you didn't care so much because you're so in your own head, right? When we're in active addiction, and anybody at my side is better than nobody at my side. And especially if
Right.
it's somebody that's going to use with me, right?
Right.
It serves me at that point to have somebody who plays into my shit, because it kind of helps me get away with stuff, right?
Right. And I
Yeah.
just kind of tolerated stuff from her because, I was like, okay, well, it's okay. I tolerated a lot when I was sick in my head.
So can you give me an example of what you tolerated that you don't think that you will not tolerate, or that you'll make a boundary for yourself about now?
Just rude behaviors that I wouldn't expect from like a person that cares about me. For example, when I would go over to her house, she'd let me in and then just like walk away and go do the dishes. Some people would say, okay, she's comfortable with you, but at the same time, I want some sort of acknowledgement that, hey, how are you? What's going on?
Did you have this conversation with her, by the way? Is this a very good friend of yours?
On and off, yeah.
Okay. So I don't
We
know what...
went through this about a year ago, the same sort of thing.
Okay. And so we decide, if it's somebody that we love, and we've decided that when I make my columns of what I get out of the relationship and what I don't get out of the relationship, the good and the bad, and if this person is the greatest person on the entire planet and is warm and giving and caring, but when I walk in, they don't know to acknowledge me, that's different, right? Then it's a conversation that I can have, right?
Yeah.
And so if the person is somebody that you love wholeheartedly and respect, and you think that they do some awesome things and they have some things to teach you, right? That would be different. So that's the difference between acceptance and a boundary. If I walk in the house and Haiti doesn't say hi to me because she's busy, I don't have any challenge with that. I walk in all the time and she's in the middle of da-da-da, whatever. But I know she loves me and I know that she respects me. I know that she cares
Right.
about me. I know that she would do anything for me because she's my friend, right? And we love each
Right.
other. So that's easy for me to have acceptance. If I walked into the house and she asked me what the F I was doing there and she was really busy and can I just get at it? If she was nasty to me, I'd have to be able to say to her, hey, Haiti, when I come in the house, it's important for me to us to have a second to say hi and to chat with each other when that's convenient for you. Like that might be something that I might want to talk with her about. But being respected, remember, the more that you respect yourself, the more that you're going to realize, the more that you decide that you're worth the respect,
Right.
you look at your life and your friends differently, because you want to be around people that are going to respect you as well, just like you respect them.
Right, and I've had a couple of my other close friends, I talked with them about this too, and they say, well, I've never really gotten that she's really supportive of you. You know, so I think, like, in retrospect, I can realize that it wasn't a very mutual, I don't know how to explain it.
That's
Like,
okay.
this wasn't a supportive person.
So, okay, and so then you check your motives. What was your motive for having her as a friend before? What'd you get out of it?
Having something to do with somebody.
Okay, so about not being alone.
Right.
So you wanted somebody to fill a void. It's not that you wanted a relationship with somebody, because a relationship is love and respect, right? For whatever that looks like. So it's not like you were looking for somebody to have a healthy relationship and grow with. You were looking
Right.
for somebody to fill a void.
Right.
Right? So you're looking for somebody to get rid of some fear. Right? That fear was you being alone.
Right.
So when we're looking for something or someone to feel a fear, that's not a relationship.
Right.
Right? We're looking
I
for
think
somebody
we
else to
realize
change the
that.
way that we feel, which is just like picking up.
Mhm.
Right? So good for you.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about it. I mean, I don't have any resentments, and I feel okay. Like, I can be a casual friend. It's not like I don't want any contact with
Sure.
her, but I don't want to invest so much energy and stress anymore.
Okay, and remember, the stress is about you.
Right.
Right? The
And
stress
I
is
don't want
about
to do
you.
it.
Perfect. Good for you. Very good.
Yeah.
Really good lesson learned. That's a whole lot of recovery right there. So good for you.
Yeah.
Recovery,
Thank
not
you.
clean time, but recovery. Right? So good for
Yeah.
you. Good for you. Good girl. Dee, you want to check in?
Hi, yeah. I definitely can relate to, I mean, this is making me think about my biggest issue. You know, I don't hold on to resentments. I've learned over the years just not to hold on to resentments, that I value relationships more than I do holding on to resentments.
Okay.
That hasn't been an issue for me.
What is the issue?
Fear, I believe now, you know, I'm now 36 days, you know, without picking up, I'm sticking with my food plan. And
That's from drugs, alcohol, and food?
alcohol, food, and weaning off. I have to wean off the medication I'm on.
Okay, so let's be real clear, you guys, because I have a thing about this. So we're going to talk about our clean time as actually being clean, which means nothing that's changing our moods. And I'm not talking about medication from your doctor. That's between you and your doctor. But when we're self-medicating with something that's mind-altering, then that's something that we want to speak with our doctor and get healthier and better about that.
Well, but I am doing it with my doctor. I have to wean off this medication that I'm on slowly.
Okay.
I'll have withdrawal.
Okay,
symptoms.
so you're doing that with your doc. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm working with my doctor.
Okay.
And
your doctor knows you're an addict?
well, I told her I wanted to start weaning off the medication.
Excuse me, does your doctor...
I didn't tell her I'm an addict. I've become addicted to this medication.
Why wouldn't you tell your doctor that you were an addict, sweetheart?
Well, because I just asked her, I told her that I didn't need to be, I don't think I need this medication anymore. So can you wean me off of it?
Okay.
Because I tried myself and I started getting...
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I know what you're talking about. You guys, your doctors are your doctors. There's doctor-patient confidentiality. When you're dealing with your doctor, let your doctor know where you are, what's going on, no matter what it is. If you're a food addict, let your doctor know you're a food addict. If you're a binger, let your doctor know you're a binger. If you're drinking, let your doctor know you're drinking. If you're in the middle of doing behavior that's unhealthy behavior, let your doctor or your therapist know about that. That's how we get better. Hiding doesn't serve us ever, right? And it allows our doctor to say, wow, the next time if imagine if my doctors, well, everybody knows I'm an opiate addict. Imagine if my doctors didn't know I was an opiate addict and I went in and my toe hurt. And I could say, oh, my toe hurts, so maybe you should give me some Percocet, for a week. That don't work for me. There's a reason why my doctors need to know that I'm an addict.
Well, okay.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that for everybody, not for you, but for everybody.
No, I appreciate your feedback. It's very, it's to the point, and it's a good point.
I'm always to the point. Yeah.
I know. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
But what I've realized about myself now that I've been, literally, I do feel a difference from, sticking with this food plan. I'm starting to feel all these other feelings, and I really think that I had a very bad week this week. I've had a lot of triggers, some really big, some smaller, but I'm feeling things that I haven't felt.
Okay, and that's okay.
The overwhelming feelings that, I was trying to stuff myself with. Yeah. And it's based in fear. I know my anxiety and the reasons why I was turning so much to food and, medicating and, was this just basic fear that I have. It's very situational.
Okay, Dee. And so I'm going to let you know, because we have a couple of minutes left. I'm going to let you know that all of our negative feelings are fear-based. So it's really good that you realize that, because that's going to be our truth forever. That's our truth. I don't know. I'm just going to end it at this. For me, I see a therapist. You see a therapist. You see a therapist. Everybody sees a therapist. If you're going through a lot of fear and anxiety, and especially weaning off medication, see a therapist if you can. I'm very pro-therapy, you guys. I think that we need all the help that we can get. So I'm going to go ahead and, yes.
And also remember our group, What's Eating You, our private group on Facebook. Reach out. When you're struggling, reach out. Tell us about it.
Perfect.
We're there as a community.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Okay.
Thanks. Right. That's true.
I will.
Dear, I'm so sorry because we really only have a few minutes left. We want to check in with Karen.
Fine.
Let's talk online. Let's talk on What's Eating You.
Thank you, Dee,
And
for
great
sharing.
job,
Thank
by the
you.
way.
Thank you, hon. Miss Karen,
Hi.
what's up, girl?
This topic is very close to my heart. I have resentments, but as I learn more empathy, or as I give those up, I feel more empathy for the people and what they must be going through. It's like you were describing your abuser. What difficulties that person has faced and is facing, and the fact that they are, however they're behaving, is really about them and not about me.
Correct.
Or whomever.
Correct.
And I'm learning more about the power of words too, the power of words that we speak to each other, but also to ourselves. And it's just, it's really changing my paradigms.
Very good. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and so you guys, the more that we feel for others, the more forgiveness that we have for ourselves, the more forgiveness we can have for others. And forgiving ourselves is a really, really big deal. Because when we don't think that we're worthy of forgiveness, forgiving ourselves, it's really hard to look at somebody else and think that they're worthy of forgiveness. Correct?
Correct. And also by having empathy and identifying with other people helps us in our recovery, because when we're sitting and judging, it's so much easier putting things at a distance and saying, wow, we're so different, rather than looking for the similarities, which actually help us heal and get better over time as well.
Exactly.
So
That's exactly correct.
So this is a really hot topic. So if you'd like, we can always revisit it again on Sundays. So we do have our meetings at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Sunday morning. These meetings are free community meetings. We are a community. We love each other unconditionally. We are here to support each other, and our greatest goal at the end of the day is for all of us to be healthy and happy. So please reach out to each other. What's Eating You is a Facebook. We're on Facebook as a private group. It is a no-cost membership. Okay, you're able to jump in and just communicate with each other, ask for help. We've got people from all around the world. In fact, I just want to do a quick shout out to Tammy, Annette, Tracy, Sarah, Anita, Stephen, Aileen. There's so many more people. I just getting to the quick top ones. So there's always someone in a time zone that you can reach out to, and someone's going to answer. We also have a small work group that we do.
Our workshop?
Our workshop. It is only for 25 people. We don't do it bigger because it's very intensive, and they are great workshops. And we will be starting another one on the 20th of January.
Yep. So be there or be square. That's what we're saying.
For the people who are food addicts, I am one myself, and planning is key. Having a food plan is key for me to stay healthy because I'm an obsessive person. That's part of my addiction. So if I don't have my food taken care of, and D, I understand 100% how important that food plan is to us. If I have the food plan, the obsession is alleviated because I don't need to think about the food. It takes care of itself. The one thing with abstaining from food, or whatever your drug of choice is, mine happens to be a few things, but the food is the big, I'm special. But really the big thing is, and I had someone ask this question, is how do we do a day at a time when it's really tough? If you can't do a day, do a minute, and the day takes care of itself.
Yeah.
And if you can't do a month, just do a day, and the months take care of themselves as well. So really, as addicts, the big thing is staying present in the moment right this second, and starting with that forgiveness. Anything that helps us focus on enjoying the moment.
Exactly. Right? And that opens up our heart, you guys. And so we open up our heart to love, right? We always say that. You always say, right? That recovery is heart to heart. Right?
Right.
And so as long as I'm angry and fearful and resentful, there's something blocking my heart from your heart. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
And
so talk about it.
And one of the things that we have been having requests for is to do a retreat. If you're interested in a retreat, let us know, because we could do an intensive 3-day get to know each other heart to heart.
Which would be awesome.
Really have uninterrupted conversations and just really do recovery on a different level between us.
In Florida, because that's where we are.
Exactly. And can I tell you something? It's freezing cold today at 50 degrees.
Freezing. Like we're freezing.
I'm wearing slippers. We're wearing coats and jackets. Okay. So really, we're freezing here with you guys.
You guys are all freezing, right?
We're going to light the fire. But yeah, if you're interested, just IM us and let us know. One of the discussion points was also doing a full agreement workshop, which is something that we'd like to do in the future. So we are also taking feedback. This is a grassroots community. We love hearing back from you guys. So please send us your feedback and your comments.
Right, and it was so awesome. You guys share from your heart like so much, and you say so many really important things. And no matter what, if we have 1 second clean or 1,000,000 years clean, we always have something that we say that touches somebody else, that somebody else is feeling. So don't ever hold back what you're going through, you guys, because you talking about what's in your heart is you being of service. Being of service is one of the most important things that keeps us in recovery.
Right, and that service really can be just from the point of opening up and sharing your story.
Absolutely.
And that's how addicts connect. We connect one-to-one, heart-to-heart.
Heart to heart.
Heart-to-heart,
Yeah.
exactly. So we're coming to the end of our session.
Yeah.
So we will meet up again 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Correct. You do it
Sunday
all right
morning.
all
I
the
did.
time now.
I did all the.
You do it right.
Get to meetings. If you're not getting enough support here, go to a meeting. Find someone that you can reach out to. If it's not online, do it face to face. Do it on the phone. Just find someone that you can talk to, because being stuck in our heads is the unhealthiest place to be.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, get some accountability, you guys. And thank you again so much. Thank you for being here. You guys keep me clean, and I really appreciate that more than you know. So shout out and love to everybody. My name is Felice. This was our Wednesday night Why Wait for Recovery community meeting, and I'm so blessed and grateful for all of you, and I'm so blessed and grateful to be in recovery.
And my name is Haiti, and I'm so blessed and grateful for you. I look forward to your gratitude list, and peace out, everyone. See you
Peace out,
Sunday.
you guys. See you Sunday.
Bye.